Good afternoon. It is 2 p.m. Welcome to Cook County Department of Public Health CCDPH School Health webinar. This is our first webinar of the school year. We are so happy to see you and continue the support that we have for our schools and that you have for us. Let's get started. I hope you're having a good beginning of the school year. Our agenda for today is we're going to do a welcome, have a few announcements, and share some resources, have a vaccine clinic update, and a communicable disease update. And then we are pleased to have Proviso Township High School, as well as Chicago Food Policy Action Council, do a presentation for us. First and foremost, we're going to start with a heavy heart and say that Cook County Health Department offers its heartfelt condolences to the Lincoln Middle School in Berwyn on the loss of their assistant principal, Narisa Lee. Any loss of life is a horrible loss, especially the way that it happened at the school. So we offer our condolences and our support and our prayers to that school. Our objectives for our meetings are to keep you all informed, get the most up-to-date information and guidance to navigate issues related to school health and wellness, resource sharing, access valuable tools and resources, and share events within the community, and also community support. Connect with peers to keep the staff and students and families safe and healthy. We are in the webinar function, so I don't believe you'll be able, I'm not sure if you can unmute yourself, but if so, please keep your lines muted. Feel free to put any questions in the chat. And remember that all of our webinars are recorded and they are uploaded to Cook County Health Department's YouTube page, as well as our website. Couple announcements. Registration for the next monthly series of webinars will be updated soon. We are looking for a different platform that works a little bit more user-friendly, so we won't be using Eventbrite as we have been in the past. We're exploring Zoom or another webinar function. So we'll let you know and we'll make an announcement. You'll find it in an email announcement or in our school newsletter announcement if you sign up for our school newsletter. The link is there to sign up. If you have not, we'll put that link in the chat. You can sign up for that monthly newsletter, which I think will go out next week, and you can get all the updated information on that. It'll also be updated on our website as well. I got a big announcement. Big announcement. We are back in person at our school health conference. We have been asked about that, and we know it is so well received. Our school health conference registration is live. It was live as of last week. If you did not hear, it will be Thursday, October 23rd at Moraine Valley Community College from 8 to 3. The registration link is in the flyer, but thanks to Stacy for putting the school newsletter link in the chat, and we'll also add that link to register, because I think in this configuration, you might not be able to access that QR code, but we'll make sure we get that link for you. And we look forward to seeing you. As usual, we will have vendors. We'll have breakout sessions. We'll be offering CEUs, and our Cook County State's Attorney's Office will be bringing back the Comfort Dog. So we look forward to seeing you. We have not seen you guys in person since 2019. So therefore, our theme this year is Reunite, Renew, and Re-Energize for our schools. So we are looking forward to seeing you, and please sign up. Here is CCDPH's contact information. If you have any webinar related questions or anything, you can email the Healthy Cook. If you need to report Lyme list or communicable disease, or you have any metrics questions, you can email Sheila's team at the CCDPH_schools at Cook County HHS. Our general website information, as well as our school specific page, and any resources for asthma and allergy resources, as well as any COVID information you may need. It's on that website. Few resources that I found for you all. Just so you know, I still get a couple emails about prescription refills. I am no longer that point person for those refills. There is now an online way to request that. So you can request it on the website and they'll get that to you. And you can ask any questions regarding any metrics or anything you may have regarding the asthma and allergies. refills. If you are part of the schools who are automatically opted into the Rescue Illinois program, you will automatically receive those materials. If you weren't sure about how the program works, you can contact Naomi Soto with questions. And you can also get a standing order and prescription from CCDPH if you're not enrolled from Rescue Illinois. Students who want information on the Narcan program can contact Denise Holman. Her contact information is there, as well as the link to request Narcan. And our CCDPH nursing department has restarted our vision and hearing screening for kids 3 to 5 years old with the plan to expand that to older kids. The information is there if you'd like to have a vision and hearing screening at your school. Some information on some mobile vaccination clinics. This is the time of year that we're trying to rush to get those vaccinations in before exclusion date, which is coming up very quickly. So you can use those mobile vaccination resources if you need to. Couple mental health resources, just a list of compiled of some mental health partners. The 988 suicide and crisis line is still active, as well as you can call the nationwide 211. Call, text, or email the 211 line for general resources. A free grief group for students who have been affected by loss of their parent. It meets virtually and it meets online, and it's free. NAMI has put together a toolkit for teachers for back to school for behavioral health. The link is there if you'd like those resources, as well as NAMI has some family to family groups. And then they also have a list of other support groups. And I'll make sure I put that list in the chat of those other support groups that they have. Metropolitan Family Service has a mobile crisis response center, as well as the Lincoln Option Center has a living room and a first aid training and a mobile crisis center response as well. And some more resources from some other partners. I believe the deadline for that youth advisory board passed, so we're going to scoot past that. But there are a couple options for youth advisory boards for any of your students who are interested. The young babies can sign up for Dolly Parton's Imagination Library and get free books, as well as some more prevention councils that are available, as well as no-cost tutoring information. Tomorrow at Governor State University from 12 to 2, no registration is necessary. There is a presentation on the impact of THC and the young brains. All are welcome to attend, as well as there's a resource fair in Chicago Ridge tomorrow, and a mental health summit at Bridgeview Courthouse sponsored by Judge Fairman and Cook County Circuit Court. That is also free on the 30th. There's some more resources as far as a computer giveaway and some food giveaway. And those are all of those community resources. But if Candace is here, I'd like to toss it to Candace to talk to you about our immunization program.
I am. Good afternoon, everyone, and happy Friday. I'll be really quick. So, as you all may or may not know, there's been a confirmed measles case in Cook County. So, one of the things that I just want to highlight for you all as a resource is our joint press release between CCDPH and CDPH regarding not only the case, but measles itself. What is measles symptoms, how you can get vaccinated, and any other resources that you need. I'll also add this link into the chat so that it can be reviewed. I've also included our communications measles toolkit. So this is helpful for distributing amongst your social media, your district websites, any parents. There's a ton of resources there. I'll also link you all to that. And one of the things that we've been doing since June is we've been working directly with districts and schools to provide mobile vaccination services within the schools. So we know sometimes a barrier to receiving vaccines could be transportation. It could be, I just forgot my appointment, or whatever, or cost or insurance. So we've been working with mobile vaccine partners to ensure that we can come into the schools and meet the needs. So we've been working with a bunch of districts and schools since June, and we come into the schools and vaccinate the kids. It takes a couple of minutes and they go right back to class. So please let me know if that's something that you all would be interested in. We have limited availability through October 15th, but I would love to get in who I can because we would like to ensure that our students are up to date, and that includes all required and recommended vaccines for school, and they do vaccinate 6 months plus. So just let me know, and I'm happy to talk further. My information should be on the next slide. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Candace. And I just want to recognize that Brandy Voigt Cervantes from Illinois chapter of American Academy of Pediatrics is in the chat. And she said anything that they can do to assist, please let her know. I'll be glad to facilitate introduction. If you aren't familiar, they are fantastic partners of CCDPH. Thanks, Brandy. And thank you, Candace. Now we will toss it to Sheila for a communicable disease update. You're muted, Sheila.
Thank you, Callie. So good afternoon, everyone. And I want to welcome everyone back and offer a very warm welcome to anyone that may be joining the webinar for the very first time. So the Communicable Disease Unit, specifically the Vaccine Preventable Disease staff, we utilize this platform as our communication channel to keep you updated on any new information from Illinois Department of Public Health or any community or national outbreaks, or to perhaps discuss if there's any increase in vaccine preventable diseases within suburban Cook County. So I do want to just take a moment to note and pivot off of what Candace has stated earlier. We have received our second confirmed case of measles as of Monday, the 15th. We have worked diligently to put all control and preventive measures in place, and the situation is being monitored accordingly. So we are really good to go, but it is very imperative to be able to note the imperatives of getting vaccinated and to always stay vigilant in regards to measles cases. So thank you very much for that. So who are we? What is the Communicable Disease Unit, and how do we work within school settings? So the Cook County Department of Communicable Disease Unit, we provide individualized consultations in school settings to control, prevent, and manage outbreaks. Our CD staff investigate reports of infectious diseases. We gather information, we conduct key interviews, and then we arrange testing when necessary. So, what that may look like on a daily basis is we may receive a lab provider report from our INES, or we may have a doctor or a parent or schools reach out to us about a reportable communicable disease. So then our staff reaches out to the providers and school settings and perhaps even the parents to gather additional information about perhaps the disease onset, if there are any clinical symptoms associated with that, and any type of testing that may have been done. And then additionally, we work to review any medications that were prescribed. We look to identify if there's any susceptible contacts. And if they are, do we need to offer them prophylaxis? And then we want to ensure that the students remain excluded until it is safe for them to return. So that could definitely be at the conclusion of their prescribed medication. And also, we do prevention and control guidance on exclusions. So that would be our quarantine and isolation letters that are given in any given setting, specifically for outbreaks. We also provide guidance on environmental cleaning and disinfection, and it is tailored specifically to each site and each outbreak. So over 2024, the CD unit received and consulted over 34,000 reportable disease cases. So of course, we are in 2025 and it has been substantial, and we are continuously counting that. So the CD staff ensures accurate, fact-based communication between parties. So this is an example of this could be providing a template letter to schools to send to parents. So one of those things that we do is that once the communicable disease staff verifies that presence of that reportable disease, then we will collaborate with the school nurses to send out exposure letters to the school community. And these letters, it actually informs the parents about the disease exposures within the school setting, and it shares essential details about the disease.
And they don't do it.
Hi.
And you
Can
basically are
someone
telling the
please
parent
mute?
they are not going to be able to come to.
Sorry about that. You can continue, Sheila. You're muted.
Okay, thank you so very much. So as I was stating, once the communicable disease staff do verify that present of that reportable disease, we collaborate with the school nurses to send out those exposure letters to school communities. And these letters inform the parents about the disease exposures within that school setting. And it is really essential that we use this as a platform to also share those details about the disease, any signs and symptoms to look out for, and to also provide those guidance to reduce the spread of infection. Not only does it outline the steps that a child or a parent could take if they begin to exhibit symptoms, it most importantly shares information about vaccinations, which we do know is the number one way to curtail the spread of disease. And we also monitor of cases and clusters as it continues and provide guidance as needed until it's safe to resume all the normal operations of returning to school and making that environment safe. So with that being said, we collaborate closely with around 149 school districts within the surrounding area to provide that guidance and also promote that vaccination schedule, which we know is very crucial to young children. Our overall efforts, however, is to keep suburban Cook County residents informed and also to just safeguard everyone against communicable disease by encouraging the recommended immunization for children, normally starting at birth through 6 years of age, but particularly those in that school setting. So I do want to just take a few moments to talk about our childhood diseases within school settings. This slide specifically focus on vaccine preventable diseases, and these diseases on this slide are reportable. Duly note that like polio and tetanus is in the graph, but it's not on the left side of the screen. These are the cases that we deal with and work with a lot, and it's not all inclusive. Like meningitis is not on here as well. But again, we have measles first top in mind, regardless if it is suspected, probable, or confirmed, that needs to be reported to us immediately. Immediately within 24 hours, but as soon as possible. We have varicella, which is also known as chicken pox, pertussis, commonly known as whooping cough. We have mumps, diphtheria, rubella, and as it is extremely imperative to mention, since we are approaching respiratory season, that we do and have a lot of ICU hospitalization cases. And if it's influenza, COVID-19, RSV, and unfortunately deaths, pediatric deaths, of course, they need to be reported to us as well, so that we can begin our investigation of these cases. So I wanted just to take a moment to just discuss with you, because our deadline, right, for making sure that those students are meeting that deadline is approaching October 15th. So under the Illinois law, all students must be up to date on required vaccinations by October the 15th or at an earlier deadline if set by your district. So we just want to ensure, one, that you are aware of this deadline so that you can effectively manage the student vaccination files. For K to 12 students, they have until October 15th to submit updated physicals and immunization records to their school district. So it is also a great opportunity to build your susceptibility list, right? So if this is the deadline date or you have a deadline date earlier than this, you could easily be able to identify those students that have complied with this deadline and provided you with their updated information. Also, those students that have who have submitted a exemption for religion or medical as well. So this would help you be able to easily identify if a communicable disease outbreak does occur within your setting, who's more susceptible, who's more at risk. So you will be able to look at your files to identify those that has not been compliant and submitted their vaccination information, as well as those that are that who I'm sorry, those who may have submitted a exemption so that they are also not immune if they have not had the natural immunity to the disease. So it's just a good opportunity to put a pen in that date and work on securing that all students' vaccination files are up to date. Also, I did want just to take a moment. I do note that Callie did provide you guys with our contact information in regards to our school email box. But I also wanted to just let you know that the school email box comes to our vaccine preventable team. We are small but mighty, and we do our best to get back to you within 24 hours with any questions or guidance that we can provide to you. And if we are not available or we're not the right person, we do our best to filter that email to the right person or to get that information. But also, I wanted to provide you with our Cook County Department of Public Health communicable disease phone number. So say if it's something that does not fall in line with vaccine preventable, like a foodborne illness or so, you can call this number and ask to speak to someone that can also help provide guidance on whatever that matter may be. So I would be remiss if I did not take a moment to um, bring to you this slide. It is preventing the spread of infection in K to 12 schools and resources. Some of you that may have been joining this call for some time, I'm pretty sure you have this information. But if there's anyone new on here, I highly recommend that you bookmark this information. It is so imperative for that you to have access to CDC recommendations in regards to everyday actions for schools to prevent and control the spread of infections, as well as, and I love this part, the additional strategies that you can use within your school setting. Again, we are upon respiratory season where we're going to start seeing more and more uptick in cases, and we often get emails saying, hey, we're seeing like half of our school is sick with this, or one classroom is having so many cases of pertussis. What do we do? This guidance helps you with that. It may be providing masking, it may be social distancing, it may be ramping up cleaning, but this link provides you that information, as well as just general guidance for infection prevention and control within your K to 12 school setting in general. So I do want to, my final slide, to say thank you guys so very much. As Callie alluded to earlier, we truly appreciate all that you do, and we really appreciate your connectivity and your partnership with us. And we will do our best to make sure that we are there for you as a supportive system as you're navigating this new school year. So thank you so very much. And Callie, back to you.
Good afternoon. Roberto.
Good afternoon.
Hey,
Oh.
hey, how's it going?
So not to make it awkward, so Roberto
okay.
and I have been come full circle in this work.
Yeah.
And so just wanted to introduce myself quickly on this section of the work since Chicago Policy Action Council came before. For those that you that are not aware, my name is Eliana Pinilla. I work with Chicago Food Policy Action Council. I work closely with one of your CCDPH colleagues, Amy O'Rourke, in the implementation of good food purchasing program for Cook County institutions. And I'm excited to be here in partnership with Roberto, who will lead the start of the conversation. on opportunities to increase healthy nutritional options through a lot of the work that it's being spearheaded by organizations like CISPAC, but also implemented by not only county institutions, but also school institutions such as Proviso. So I'll let Roberto take it away and I'll come in
Thank you.
later in the presentation.
You have the floor, Roberto. Welcome.
Thank you, thank you. So like Ileana said, my name's Roberto. I'm with Proviso Township High Schools. I'm the assistant manager to food and nutrition coordinator also. So I kind of help overlook the food service program where we get our food, the menu planning, and kind of just to assist with the overall operations here at the school. So you could proceed. So I've been with Proviso the past 3 years. Is my third year. And when I was hired, I know Ms. Garza, the director of food and nutrition, really wanted to bring in some more scratch cooking. And with my background in nutrition and dietetics, I knew farm to school was kind of a big move in the whole food and food service realm. So with when we kind of dove in a little bit more and how to bring in some more farm to school to Proviso and the kind of the rationales on why we're doing it. One of the main things is kind of, I think we all kind of know, it kind of supports our local farmers and then bringing that partnership from farm to school, building the stronger food supply chain just regionally or locally is a big move. I know I was working with the Greater Chicago Food Depository during COVID time, so I remembered how schools kind of came and filled that gap for those sack lunches and all of that. So that was kind of like my wake up call, like, okay, there could be a little bit more fine tuning with the supply chain. So let's see how we could do that within Proviso school systems as well. Another thing with the supply chain, when you do buy local, it's a shorter drive time. So we're looking at our carbon footprint and kind of looking at that overall aesthetic of how to bring those seasonal products to campus. And if those seasonal products have that better flavor that the students are more willing to take, but not only take, but make sure that they're actually eating it and not ending up in the waste bin. I always tell my students I like to champion the clean tray club. So if every time I walk through the caf, if I see that there's an empty tray, I'm like, okay, we're moving in the right direction. Because when I first started, there's always those like steamed broccoli that would end up in the trash. So now we're transitioning and teaching staff how to do roasted broccoli or sauteed some more vegetables. So there's different textures, different flavors that the students may have not been aware of, especially coming from elementary and middle schools. Now we're kind of trying to teach them other ways to look at food that may be a healthier and more sustainable option for them. When it comes to things that are more familiar, asking students on the line, hey, what type of veggies would you be interested in? Example, a lot of them say, I don't really like cauliflower. Something that we piloted was just doing like a buffalo cauliflower. So we just season it with some buffalo seasoning with the low sodium. And students were more willing to take the cauliflower at that point rather than your typical steamed version. So being able to play with the local flavors, some familiar produce that the kids may be interested in, and trying to see how we could blend those recipes using that product and then product that we currently have available to us through our other co-ops and food hubs that we buy or purchase our school food from. And then lastly, just creating that network connection with the students to real world food systems. So kind of having that conversation of where the food comes from, kind of bringing in those people to kind of talk to the real hands-on experience for these students. I know when we did this pilot project that we'll talk about later on, when me and Ileana were doing taste testing, it was kind of fun just to kind of pick the kids' brain to see what they kind of knew about food and where the food comes from, but then the grand scheme of what do they actually know about food and nutrition, agriculture, culinary arts, and how you could kind of intertwine all that to just one student meal, which was kind of cool to see in real practice. We go to the next slide. So our farm to school journey so far, here at Proviso, we kind of done a small, slow rollout, doing little taste projects here and there in classrooms, elevating and educating our staff on these nutrition programs, the difference between a higher processed product to a locally sourced product that may have not been so processed. So that kind of helps build the confidence in not only the students, but the staff. When they're on the serve line, they're more willing to talk to the student and engage in them like, hey, this was a local rolled oat. The benefit of this is that it has all the anatomy of a oat bran, the grain and all of that, and not as stripped away. So kind of teaching the staff also the basics of nutrition that they could intel teach the student while they're in their basic serve line. We partnered with the Common Market recently as well this past year to get those farm to school products on these trays. And what's nice about that is they kind of help merge that gap of building that procurement and talking to the farmers and kind of being the spearhead of able to get all these different products in one spot and then distribute it out to the schools. So that's been very helpful, and they're very knowledgeable of those farmers. And then they're able to help us market as well. So they're able to have little flyers and all that that we could pass out to the community and to the students so they kind of know where these products are coming from. And then overall, just the taste and balance of the product tastes a little bit better for the students. So they're more, like I said earlier, more willing to try the product and actually eat the whole serving rather than seeing it end up in the garbage. And then our overall goal was, again, like I said, to reduce that food waste, increase meal participation, and then making sure students are coming daily to get their breakfast and lunch with us. So we did do a beef and black bean patty pilot last year. This is the one that Ileana actually helped us with before she left the Common Market. So I'm sure she's excited to see this on here. But we partnered with the Common Market and McCain's Meats, a meat scientist that produced a burger patty that was a blend of beef and black bean. So it got rid of your allergens. It was hitting your USDA meal components that you need and all of that, which was able to kind of meet the need of the burger for the students. My main thing when I started here was, again, that health and well-being mindset of not just eating what they're eating, but understanding why they're eating it and the benefit of the product. Typical thing, a burger. A lot of our students love burgers. That's the first thing they always say, hey, can we get burgers on the line? In my mind, having a burger daily kind of sets the student up to think, hey, this burgers are healthy, so I could eat this daily. So once they walk out the school doors, we don't know where they're getting these burgers if they are not most likely not going to be hitting the same standards that a school nutrition burger is hitting. So it may be higher in your saturated fats, your sodiums, things like that. So it may not be the healthiest option outside of the school doors, but kind of teaching them the understandings of how the burger patty is created, the meat products, different meats that you could be using, and then example like this product, they blended the black bean in it. So it doesn't always have to be 100% beef. You could kind of blend it up and make it your own so that you have that as well. Other products were locally sourced. So again, it was kind of nice to kind of talk to the students and say this was a locally, regionally sourced burger. The producers were at MSU, so we were able to go visit the meat lab, see how the cattle comes through the slaughterhouse and how it ends up into a burger patty. So a lot of people may not see that, or we're so far disconnected that they tend to forget that. So that was kind of cool to see and kind of see that there's a whole world within just that area of agriculture that a lot of people aren't aware of. So being able to bring that education to the students and talk about it, talking to the meat scientists when Nick was actually on campus with this burger tasting, it was kind of cool because the kids were like, "Oh, this burger's good. Where did you guys get it from?" And I was like, "Oh, the McCain Meats, Mr. Nick's right over there. He's the one that created it." So you saw kids go and actually talking to the producer and kind of picking his brain to see how he created it, why he created it, and then just kind of the meat science aspect to all of it was really cool. Um, so that actually went pretty well. The tasting, we served about 1,200 burgers. We got about 100 reviews back. Students were enjoying it. Some students, their biggest thing was that they were able to taste the bean. So we took all this data and information back to Nick and let him know, hey, seasoning's good and all of this, but the kids are saying they taste the bean. Is there a way that you could mash or mix the bean up a little bit? And he said that's something that we could work on as it being a pilot project. So it's kind of cool to see that initial reaction from the students, taking the feedback back to the producer, and then kind of working as a big collective to see how we can make a overall student palatable burger that they're going to want to come and eat constantly when they're here. And then being proud of it too, because they're like, hey, this is a regional burger. It's from the Midwest and it's enjoyable. So again, it meets your overall goals of the USDA guidelines that we have to meet, as well as building those healthy eating habits that the students want once they leave these doors. Go to the next slide. Two. Recently, we got connected with the Artisan Grain collaboration with also the Common Market. Jamie reached out to them about us. So this is another way of trying to bring local to campus, of trying to bring local grains that they may have not been aware of so that they could see the different varieties of grains, how we could make them more culturally relevant to our students. And then again, like we said, hopefully get them geared to wanting to try these new products and not be scared to get them. Example, like a wheat berry, the grain collaborations, we have access to wheat berries. So I went up to my culinary club and said, have you guys ever had wheat berries? And they're like, what is that? So it's like, it's a good conversation starter. It's like, okay, well, wheat berry is similar to your barley, your farros, just a different grain that we could be putting on the plate rather than your rice, your breads, wheat crackers, things that they're typically used to, but trying to, again, like we said, bring some new products that we could kind of manipulate to something that's more cultural relevant. So trying to see if we put that wheat berry on a strawberry salad that they may like rather than the wheat bun that they typically get or the crouton. So kind of just expanding the world to the students of what we could also do with school meals doesn't have to be what they're used to from their elementary and middle schools. And go to the next one. Food advocacy and community impact. This is kind of something that I love doing here on campus. It's just kind of talking to the students in the community of how we could bring these products onto campus, and then again, engaging the students and the community members and the staff on food policy, some different initiatives on how we could bring these products onto campus. So like your local school of food funds that ISB has, the Common Market, letting them know that there are regional food hubs that are bringing these local products to campus and how you could get involved. Because a lot of parents just don't know what makes a school nutrition program run. So kind of breaking down those barriers slowly but surely and talking to them and letting them know that there is a big machine that we're looking at and moving towards so that we could get these smaller projects onto campus so that, again, like we said, these kids are willing to eat and try new products, but then building that long lasting mental well-being of healthy eating habits that they could get from just expanding their palate. Um, so that's kind of nice. Having the parents and like family members come and meet these farmers is what something that we're looking at, talking to farmers and seeing if that's something that they'd be interested in. Even if it's something similar to this, where it's like a panel and just talking about how they grow their product, how they get their product from where they're at, or just the history of the food product that they have. Because I'm a history buff, so it's kind of cool listening to family history sometimes of this is how long we've been dairy farmers, this is how we did it, and then where it's going, and then kind of again, like I said, get the kids thinking of other realms in food and culinary rather than just being a chef or a server. And then it also promotes that food access so that students know how to use these products so that they're not scared when they see these products on the shelves at the grocery stores. Like I stated earlier, I used to work with the Greater Chicago Food Depository, and I used to go do help people sign up for medical and SNAP benefits. So when I would go to the food pantries, I remember distinctly there's parts where I was like, oh, there's cans of garbanzo beans. There's a lot over here. And I would ask people in line, like, oh, would you guys like garbanzo beans? And majority of the time, they'd be like, I don't even know what that is or how to use it. So it's like, you're, okay, where's that gap and how can I fix that for them? Like, what are other beans that you like to eat? And then you're building that community network and then you're seeing how can I get that into campus? Because the first thing I noticed when I got to campus, a lot of kids don't like beans. And now I'm trying to figure out, is it due to the canned bean? Is it due to the seasoning? Or is it just that they don't like beans or never been presented beans in a different style than a can? Um, so it's kind of nice to show them different ways that they could look at food and how to use different food out there. And then just bringing that awareness to the food system and our food choices so that, like I said, once they get out these doors, they're being aware of what they're eating, but then they're also being able to kind of share their own knowledge of the reasoning why they eat it and the background of, the basic food economics and food system that they are learning while they're coming through our food lines. And you could go to the last slide. And then for the last one here, again, we're constantly talking to students, seeing how we could provide new recipes. Is it bringing different vinaigrettes or dressings that we could put on locally sourced food? Is it creating our own yogurt-based ranch sauce that's going to be enticing for them to grab the fresh carrots or broccoli and things like that, and kind of just constantly taste testing, refining these recipes, and then building menu plans that are for our community and for our students that are always going to want to come back. The goal is to highlight these stories, talk to the students, get that feedback so that we could present it to the staff, present it to board members and stakeholders of, this is what students are saying about what they like to eat, and this is how we want to be able to provide that to them, and then kind of get that whole backing for them as well. And then, like we said, building that measurable, nutritional, sustainable, and just the local sourcing to see how the program moves along. Um, and then honestly, just have fun with it and be innovative, because kids change their food palette every other day. So depending what's trending, they may like pizza this week, and then next week they're liking burgers. So it's just making sure we're staying on top of leading food trends, but then having that background of, I want to make it as nutritional education as possible, presenting something that's familiar, but is also hitting your school nutritional guidelines and staying USDA compliant. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have for you guys. So if you have any questions, I'm here to listen.
Thanks, Roberto. There are
Yep.
some comments in the chat about uh,
Mhm.
cooking demonstrations. Maybe the kids will like tasting the food and they may eat it a little bit better, having some cooking demonstrations.
Yeah.
And then a suggestion about a partner, Dr. Maggie Rivera.
Oh, nice. I'll definitely reach out to her. And then the cooking demos, we actually are in the works on that. We've been partnering. We have a school-based health center here at Proviso East, the Loyola Health-Based Center, and they do a lunch bunch. So during their lunch bunch, they'll invite me in to try and pilot new products. So like this past week, we tried a mushroom and beef meatball from 50 Cut, not local, but it's a new product that we wanted to see how the students were willing to taste and enjoy it with the mushroom product in it. And with the registered dietitian there, she was able to kind of lead the talk. And then we sampled this different product that they're not used to seeing on the breakfast or the meal line, and seeing how they're acceptive of it and how they actually like that product. But yeah, I do love the on-site cooking demos or anything like that to kind of highlight these products and how to use them is what we're slowly working towards there.
Thank you so much. That is a really interesting program, and thank you for sharing. And
Yeah,
then
no
I
problem.
want to re-welcome Eliana Pinilla to talk about the grant funding for this program. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate being invited into this space. So hopefully I'm able to add some inspiration to the work that you all do. You already do too much, so hopefully it'll be a good way for you to nudge those other partners at schools that are directly involved with this, or that you wish for them to be more involved in this type of work. So on our next slide, I'm going to open up the conversation with the more imminent grant related to Farm to School. It was actually canceled by this administration earlier this year and reinstated recently. And so this is for a 2026 funding. It's going to be closing in December 5th. It's currently open. And so the objective of this funding is to support incorporation of local foods across the different school nutrition programming via education, taste tests, school gardens, field trips. So projects can range between 100 to 500K. It's a national program. The total purse of award is 18 million. It does require to have a cost sharing element to it. So if there's funding that already exists or that they could be building into like being completed by this funding, it's definitely encouraged. So eligibility, the only ones that are highlighted there on the actual as an asterisk is that it requires partners to be applying. So it can be standalone organizations. So hopefully a lot of these ideas that I'm sharing here in terms of examples, so with things like planning for farm to school programming or implementing, going to the next stage of the work if you already have like a school garden program or just creating an ag education program. Those were some of the programs that were funded last year. And the folks that applied was either a combination of like a community organization, deploying and developing and deploying food farm to school education, or even a farm themselves, partnering specifically with a school district, or a school district partnering with a farmer. So I think it's different permutations, but again, creating a tighter knit relationship among the different folks that impact this type of programming. So I will, if you click on that link, I think it's actually interactive, so you can see directly in the linked area in the corner blue box. There you go. The blue box that says closing date, that tells you more details, and you can forward it to partners at your school or your district that could be interested in this one. The next slide is specifically related to the work that Roberto was funded for directly when he partnered with Common Market for the black bean and beef patty, and then as a beneficiary with the Artisan Grain Collaborative project. So this was Lake Michigan School Food Innovation Hub was one of 4 different projects that were awarded across the country a couple of years ago. And the idea of this project was to support schools in advancing in a creative way inclusion of food in classroom, and specifically calling out partnerships with food businesses, farmers, and school food operations. And so in Illinois, and in this region, this was really a collaboration among the 4 corner states to Lake Michigan. And in Illinois, the partner that facilitated and it's the sponsor for this work is the Illinois Public Health Institute. 7 Generations Ahead, who you heard before as they're an organization that also is facilitating the Illinois Farm to School Network, is one of the state partners and leads. And if you're interested on learning more about this project, I have highlighted the email address at the bottom left, farmtoschool@7generationsahead.org. If you were click on that blue box, you'll be able to open the page on this specific funding opportunity. And there's 2 different types of opportunities. So the opportunity that Roberto just spoke about, that was a Spark Award a project. At the time, they were having the Spark Awards being up to 75K, and since then they've expanded a little bit the ceiling. And then the Innovation Collaboration Award are longer term and higher dollar amount, and in some instances involve multi-state partnership, which is what the Artisan Grain Collaborative deployed with their project. On the next slide, it just kind of explains a little bit more about the eligibility. So this project is specifically to create more inroads and connections for local procurement and improving school meals and dishes that are served there. There are other actual programs, as you see here, that are out of scope, like school gardens and education, because there's funding, as I mentioned, the first one, Patrick Leahy, that already addressed and heavily focused on a lot of this work. And so you see the outline there, same set of actors as others. I think the emphasis is that schools and school districts are a must when applying to this specific project. So it needs to be an SFA, School Food Authority, needs to be involved by the nature and the impact of this project, versus, say, Patrick Leahy. You could be a community organization that is looking to do farm to school or more education in that sense, and you're not as restricted. But again, both, I'd say Patrick Leahy is significantly more competitive because it's national, and this one can be potentially more accessible because it's only within the Midwest, the Great Lakes region. Again, those 4 states that I mentioned. So onto the next slide, I mentioned a few more things that are relevant and supportive of these 2 initial grants, and these are more managed by the Illinois School Board of Education. And so the School Board of Education received a few years ago, accepted the allocation of $7.3 million, non-competitive sub-awards for all the Illinois districts that are eligible based on their community eligibility equation. And so that's just organizations, school food authorities that are in more need based on the population they serve immediately. So all in all, to say, this funding exists, it's underutilized. There's an opportunity that the schools today, until the end of January 2026, can request an allocation of these dollars and effectively have free money to buy and create relationships with their farmers, with growers, with people in their community to buy food for their school food programming. It's a very simple application process. It's emailing ISB, and so I have in that link that is, again, on the blue box that says available through January 31st, 2026. It's all the information on the contact for this program. You just need to email them at the address that they have shared. And then I would say that you would just want to make sure that you specify your district and your interest. And I think at the end of the day, what you want to harness is for the food operation, if it's a self-operated entity, to be the ones that lead this initiative, so they can work with their food service managed partner or themselves directly to have access to this fund. It's very similar to what they do right now with DOD funds and USDA funds. So, and again, it's only for food purchasing. There's no administrative dollars attached to this. So again, strictly free money. And you heard Roberto earlier talking about it. They are being able to partner with a local distributor, market, to facilitate a lot of this. So there's a lot of different options, whether they have direct relationships with growers and producers that can deliver on the requirements of this funding, or there's partners that they can connect with. And please ignore the types of grants and awards. That was a slip from the previous slide. On to the next slide, and I think this is probably one of the last ones. So this one is something that has existed for a long time. This is the more legacy programs, which is the school breakfast program. So there's opportunities for schools that want to improve and expand on their existing breakfast program. And if they have it, they can access up to 10K. And, it's been a significant amount that has been distributed for the upcoming fiscal year. The applications for this usually open the beginning of the year and close by May. So you may see this coming up again next year. Cost sharing is not a requirement. So would anticipate looking into this in the next couple of years as well, or keeping your eye out on it. And then lastly, other resources. So I just really make a nod to some of these organizations, because we talked about all the larger federal ones, but there's so many organizations that are doing and providing access to a lot of different types of programming. USDA and Roberto, you may know more about this, if they still have equipment grants that they're providing funding for. I know there's been a lot of elimination of programs that the USDA had for equipment and other programs. So in the absence of that, just giving you some ideas that you might want to look into a little bit more, with more depth, related to farm to school programs. So some of them include funding to have a salad bar at your school. They give about $4,500 for you to be able to start at least buying the equipment and having the equipment available to host that at your school cafeteria. Chef Ann also has the opportunity specifically for schools interested on moving towards outside of a privatized model and more to a self-operated space, not served by a food service management company. They have funding that they offer for 3 years for schools to upskill and become more self-operated, because in what we found out, even in the project that I'm doing right now with Cook County, and hands down over time, is that the agency of schools like Roberto that have to being able to be the ones that are planning and implementing menus and thinking about all this, it gives more ownership over not only what reflecting what the community of students want, but also the engagement. So and this is what we see consistently when schools and institutions are able to move to a more self-operated model. SNA has also resources in the context of equipment. Kids Gardening, as I said, has different levels of grants, depending if you want to build a garden in your school, or even need resources to facilitate programming around a garden. And then in terms of programming that you could explore, I mentioned earlier, Illinois Farm to School Network. They have amazing resources from Harvest to the Month to the upcoming Great Apple Crunch. And Illinois Extension also has very similar adjacent resources. So I'll leave it there, but I'm happy to share or answer any questions. We have 2 minutes.
Thank you so much. Oh, no, we are fine. Thank you so much, Ileana and Roberto. That is fantastic information. That is why I love these meetings, to get this information out. There were a few questions in the chat regarding some of the links, and thank you to Alicia for sharing those links. If Roberto and Ileana would like to share their contact information in case anyone, wants to partner or has any information to share. Oh, you're going to say something, Roberto?
No, I'm writing my email in the chat.
Oh,
it's a good
okay.
idea.
But if there are any further questions that weren't asked in the chat, feel free to unmute yourself and ask any questions. This is great information. I do have a question while we're waiting to see if we have any questions in the chat. Are there any stipulations on the type of school? Could preschools or early education apply for this grant?
So I want to say, are you speaking? Well, the Patrick Leahy, I think that they're the main thing is that they are doing National School Lunch Program.
Okay.
Abiding by it. So I think it by and large it leaves early childhood education a bit out of the run for it. So it's definitely like elementary schools and like operations, school food authorities that are having like food operations on site, like tend to have more traction with that. I'd say that specifically for ECEs and like preschools, I think some of like the resources in this last slide might be a better fit. So I point them to like kidsgardening.org as a way to look at, kind of fitting more into like that space of work. And then I'd also want to highlight Pilot Light, and I know they may be a partner in this region that might be highlighted later on in the beginning of next year for you all. They are an organization that does provide a lot of like food education programming for free, and so it just requires for the it's in the classroom specifically, but they have modules for K to 12, and now they included preschool age food education programming as well. So there's different ways of addressing this, but yes, I guess that was for Patrick. For the USDA
Okay.
School Food Innovation Hub, I don't think that there's as much restrictions other than that it is a school food authority.
Okay. Another question, if schools needed a little technical assistance with getting the grant application process, could they contact you, or is there a contact person to contact?
So I'd say that if you go to the slide that has the 7 Generations Ahead email, and I can put it again. One more. There you go. Farm to School at 7generationsahead.org. Her name is Diane Chapeta, and she can be like, she's such an amazing resource. Her background as a former farm to school champion, but like a school service, food service director, can provide so many insights on all the different options regarding like application and questions and anything in the world of farm to school. And I'm happy to help too. So I'm actually putting my email.
Okay.
I can
Sounds
try.
great. Thank you to you both. Again, we appreciate you taking the time out to share this valuable information with schools. I wish I had a salad bar when I was at school, so hopefully some schools can take advantage of this. It sounds great. And before we adjourn, I just want to remind everyone that there is no webinar next October, as we are back live with our in-person conference, which will be October 23rd at Moraine Valley Community College. Registration is open live now. The link is inside the chat. I'll give you time to find that link to register. And we will start back up with our webinars for November. I don't have registration links for the remainder of the fall webinars, as we're looking into a new webinar platform, but we'll have that all set up and we'll share that information as soon as possible. As usual, our webinars are recorded and they're uploaded to our YouTube page as well as our school-based website. And you can get that information. And Lynn has her hand up before we adjourn. Yes, Lynn. Were you raising your hand, Lynn? Oh, maybe it was an error. Oh, there she comes.
Hi, everybody. I work with Kelly and I work in the Emergency Preparedness and Response Department. And September is Preparedness Month. So I would be remiss if I didn't give you a tip and just a quick thing for you all to take back to your schools. My unit was doing site surveys of our facilities, many of which are schools. And when we pulled up, we noticed certain schools have the classroom number facing the street. So it's visible when you pull up that this is classroom A203. That's something you might want to take back to your schools as being a low cost, low tech way of providing first responders that may have to come into your school with the exact location of where they're going to be as soon as they pull up. So just some stencils and someone to go out and put classroom numbers on the outside. If you work with the schools or if you're a parent with children in school, that saves valuable minutes when first responders have to come into your locations. That's all.
Thank you for that emergency preparedness information. And we look forward to getting more emergency preparedness information. Perhaps we can schedule a webinar for your team to give us some school-based emergency preparedness information. We look forward to that. But again, thank you all so much for coming out, and we will see you in person. I will look forward to hugging you all. I have not seen you in years, and be well. And again, thank you all for your partnership, and I will see you soon. Have a great day and enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you
Thank you,
all.
guys.